well, and welcome along to the continuous card drawing sessions. And today is Mini Monday, so it's going to be minis all day, both classic and modern. But to really kind of kickstart it all, this week the Mini GP, which is on its third generation now, has been official driving impressions have been unembargoed, as it were. So we're going to do each Mini GP, first, second, and third generation, as a drawing. So that's going to be it. And then we're going to have a couple of classic ones thrown in there as well, a couple of iconic ones, things like Mini Electric, EJB, Paul Smith Mini. So we're going to have a few different minis being done. Alex is an automotive journalist. If you don't know Alex, he's an automotive journalist, good friend of mine as well. He has owned and has a Mini which is known as A2 Goy, which is that blue Mini there. We've drawn that already. So
that's my mum's car.
That's your mum's car. It was your car as well?
It was my car, and then I sold it to her at a vastly inflated price so I could buy a Lotus.
Well done. Well done. Oh, bless your mum. So I'm going to start drawing this. Whilst I'm drawing this, so I've got about half an hour or so to draw it in 3 minutes, the outline, and whilst I'm doing the rest of it, you can talk about all your mini experiences and what you do as a job as well. So okay. I'm going to start. And remember, you're live on the internet, no swears, thanks.
do that old Davina McCall thing, which I was going to mention to you on the phone earlier, but forgot. Are you going to say the thing, Ian?
What thing?
Once the pen's on the page, it can't
yes, once the pen's on the page, yeah. So once the pen's on the paper, it doesnn't lift. So I create the entire outline without lifting the pen. Make sure I've got a half decent pen. So yeah, once the pen is down, the outline is done. That is what it's called, a continuous car, and you can watch it on all these socials, and you can then buy a book with all of them in as well. There we are.
Which I have signed up for, boss. Put me down for a book.
Book. Good books are good.
Book.
And also it's my birthday tomorrow, so you know.
Is it?
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to start drawing now because Taz is like praying for me to draw, so I'm going to start drawing. The boss has spoken. Right, I'm going to start. Pen down. Right, now you can talk. Go ahead.
Yay! Yeah, so this LA thing, I had a phone call on Thursday saying, what are you doing next week? And I was like, well, I need to go to, I've got a job in Malvern, and then I've got a job and then I need to be in the UK on Friday morning to fly to Saudi Arabia. And he's like, how important is the job in Malvern? And I was like, well, it depends what it is. And he's like, I need you to go to LA, and I need you to interview Hans Zimmer, and then go and cover a bit of the LA show, if you would, because my visa hasn't come through, and I can't travel without it.
Don't get me started about American visas.
Yeah, you American visas and you.
No.
Not a great topic, but that's kind of the reason why I was sent, mostly because I am a disposable freelancer. So if I have trouble, it doesn't matter. But
you can be locked up and thrown away the key. Fine.
If he had trouble, then that's a bit of job and career knackered. But yeah, so flew out to LA. I think I left on the Monday afternoon at 3:00. I got there silly late on the Monday again because time zones, and then Tuesday was all workshops and all XYZ, and saw the BMW Vision M Next concept, which was mega cool. Had a round table with Hans Zimmer, so his studio is amazing, obviously Oscar-winning composer, but he walked into the room, the studio we were all waiting in, and he's a tall man, sort of massive presence, and he goes, "Hello, my name is Hans Zimmer. I like to make noise."
So what does he do?
So Hans Zimmer, you have heard his work. So he composes Hollywood soundtracks. So if you've watched one of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, that's him. He did the soundtrack for Dunkirk, I believe.
So he's not Batman. He's the guy who does the music for Batman. Yeah?
He's the guy who does the music for Batman. He did the soundtrack to The Lion King. Okay. And also, most notably, which I absolutely love, while I was doing my research on him, he did the theme tune to popular 80s/90s daytime quiz show Going for Gold.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's a career highlight right there.
Going for gold.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
But then the next day went to the show, and because I was there with BMW, saw all the BMW stuff, and then saw the Mini stuff, and I saw the GP3 with its mega wing. So the wing on the back is super cool. The aero down the sides is super hardcore because it's like the wheel arches are slightly removed from the car. It looks properly cool. It's like 306 horsepower or something silly like that, and it follows the DNA neatly segueing set by the GP1 that you are creating now. So the GP1, they only made a couple of thousand of them. I did some reading this morning.
Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome.
Love you.
They only made a couple of thousand of them, and something like 450, slightly fewer. There will be someone far nerdier than me on the internet going, I think you'll find there's like something like 450, maybe slightly fewer, was sold in the UK.
All right-hand drive, I presume.
The UK ones were. I'm not sure about the foreign ones.
Yeah.
But what was cool about it was that it was basically what happens if you give a bunch of engineers completely free rein to make the Mini as good as it could be. So this is 2006, so 14 years ago. Fun fact, Cars, the movie, came out in 2006. It's 14 years old.
Wow. That's quite old.
That makes me feel really old.
Yeah, me too.
All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, I watched Cars 3 yesterday. It was really good. It brought a tear to my eye.
You know what? I think we... Did I watch it?
Not with me.
Oh, brilliant.
Jack Johnson all over again.
Yeah. Wasn't me, Gov.
Wasn't me, Gov.
Yeah. There's a wonky line if ever you saw one. Right. So.
But yeah, so the GP1, it had a
there's an outline for it.
Look at that!
Look at that. There we are. With a bit of a wonk when I laughed over here. But there we are.
Drowning in her.
Now to make it into that.
So it's based on the standard Cooper S, which is the one that I had, that Mum has now, which is, I know she's not watching, it is quite knackered and it needs a proper restoration, but I don't have the money to do it, otherwise I would. And so the standard Cooper S came with, the pre-facelift one was 163 brake horsepower from a 1.6 litre supercharged Tri-Tech engine, which I believe is a smart way of saying Mercedes made it. And it was all jolly good. It was good fun. It was the first of the new Minis, the first new Mini Cooper S's. But what they did was they just pushed it to the extreme. So there are no rear seats. There's a brace bar over where the rear seats would be for the rear struts. There's a bunch of weight saving, so it's about 40-50 kilos lighter than the standard car. And it's based on the John Cooper Works Mini kit that there was at the time, which bumped up the power to something like 200 horsepower, something like that. It was quite a big boost.
And I guess by removing the rear some weight, it became a bit more pokier because it had less weight to shift.
More power, fewer kilos. Gave it was 0 to 62 in about 6 seconds, which, considering my mum's car is 7.5, and it would do 150 miles an hour, which is a lot of miles an hour. The GP, yeah. So super limited numbers. Each one of them was individually numbered. They are still quite expensive. I didn't check Auto Trade, so I'm going to do that now.
So how much were they new, and how much are they kind of...
£22,000 before option.
Wow.
That was in 2006. So in today money, if you consider, if we price it similarly, so a Golf GTI Mark 5 Golf GTI around then was about 20 grand, right? So I'm auto trading at the same time as talking to you. Let's do a reset. And yes, it's 22 grand. And now a Golf GTI is about 30-ish.
Yeah,
30-ish.
32-ish.
32-ish. A hatch is what we want. Here's one. 15 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, they hold their money.
They've held their money well, haven't they?
They have, rather.
And I guess if you have a relatively decent one that hasn't been tracked and modified, then I imagine they're quite sought after.
Yeah, well, here's another one. 13,500. 10,000 rare car. 130 of 200 made. That's a lie. 2,000 made, maybe, for the global market. Any more? No. So yeah, the Gen 2s are similar money, but the Gen 1s, they're quite beefy things. So the way that the John Cooper Works cars worked initially was that John Cooper, who is the man who, Lisa, who made Minis very quick in the 60s, was asked whether he would be sort of the official partner of making them quick. So they licensed his name. They owned his name, or I think Rover owned the name when the Mini was the Mini. And then so John Cooper Works were the ones that were going to do the jazzy ones and do the quick ones. So you could get the John Cooper Works kit for both the Cooper and the Cooper S of the R53 Mini. The Cooper got, I think, sporty springs and freer flowing, louder pipe. So it was a bit louder. It was a bit rortier. And the Cooper S got more power, springs, oh Lord, what else? More power, springs, and pipes as well. So it was very, very shouty. I drove on very briefly, years and years and years ago. It was great. But then the GP car was that plus. So less weight, more power, more of a sporting edge. Now, years ago, I drove the Cooper, the GP1 and the GP2 back to back. Now, the thing is, I have a bit of a problem with a lot of modern hot hatches in that they're too easy to drive. So the gear shift, you just slot it in and it's really easy, and you don't feel like you're putting in much effort. The thing with the GP1 is that you do actually have to work quite hard on it. It's not an easy car to drive. You don't just get in it and think, oh, well, this is a delightful little thing, isn't it? And bimble round and round and round and round and round. The gear shift, you have to really shove it home. The clutch is heavy. It's not a light thing at all. And the steering, it's quite old power steering. I think when I drove it, it was knocking on 10 years old anyway. No, hang on. When I drove it, if it was knocking on 10 years old, I would have been 30. Showing my age now. So I was in my late 20s. So it was an oldish car. It rode hard. Those Gen 1 Minis had a bit of a reputation for being quite hard riding because they run flat tyres and the suspension was rock hard on those anyway, because they're track cars, they're fun cars. Yeah. But they're not daily drivers. They're not the one you keep in the garage.
They're not for your average kind of bobbling down to the shops in. They're more like they're kind of a track day toy, but a usable track day toy type of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's the jam with them. But they were really special. They're special cars. Like when you look at them, you put 1, 2, and 3 together, and then stick them next to their kind of road-going equivalent, or more road-going equivalent. They look angry. They've got that mean look to them. So the GP1, it has those bright red mirrors. It's got that kind of bluey grey paint on it with the contrast loop around the supercharger hole with the air intake. The exhausts are sharpened to an edge rather than the beer cans that you got on the standard Cooper and Cooper S. They were properly aggressive. They're aggressive things. The cool thing is though, John Cooper Works. They're the guys behind. Or they were the guys behind making these things in these special, like BMW sanctioned kits, Mini sanctioned kits. Very separate brands, definitely don't share the same headquarters, etc. And they were just told, go to town, we'll honour the warranties, you'll be the official partner, and it was kind of this global thing. And they sort of became the de facto M division for Mini. So the John Cooper Works, the JCW cars. There was the Cooper S, which is sort of your BMW 335i, but then you had the JCW, which is your M3, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, Mini bought John Cooper Works, and now all the John Cooper stuff is done in-house. It's now fully owned and sanctioned by BMW, which is quite sorry, by Mini. I keep making that mistake. Apologies, viewers, if anyone's angry. The thing about it is, the interesting thing is, John Cooper Works. Who, John Cooper himself has now passed away. When this was initially going ahead, they were approached and they went, yeah, sure, let's do this. Let's make some Larry Minis. In the olden days, it was sort of Cooper and Isagonis having to sort of fight it out as to whether or not there could be a quick Mini.
Yeah.
And whether or not it would be a good idea to have a fast Mini, or should it just be a car for people to have, like a simple, nice bit of kit, but you don't need a fast one. Why would we need a fast Mini? That seems ridiculous, etc., etc., etc. And then the next thing we know, of course, Mini started winning everything everywhere because they're such.
And famously, EJB winning the Monte Carlo with Paddy Hopkirk at the wheel.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, which, all those famous pictures. The GP cars, they're collectible, they're limited, they're very special. That's what they are.
And did you say there was an option? So this one hasn't got any rear seats, but is there an option that you can't... On the new one, is there an option that you can...
So there was never an option to have it on that. I'm not sure about the new one. I don't know too much about the new one, to be honest. There's never an option on GP1. The things you could option were air conditioning. That's about it. There were no colours. There was no nothing. It was, this is the car. This is the car that you get. And if you don't want it, then you don't buy it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
And it's like a grey blue colour, isn't it? So it's not like a...
Yeah.
It's like
it wasn't a standard colour. You couldn't get that colour anywhere. You couldn't do much with it. But it was one of those things that got a lot of Mini people just got, if that makes sense. Because I used to be hugely into Mini and all that thing for obvious reasons. And it was the thing where it's like, okay, you got the Cooper S, you get the JCW, but wow, look at this special thing. It's the equivalent, or it was the equivalent of, the Ferrari nuts going mad for the Monza SP1s and the limited edition things like that. It's the one that goes pride of place. But the thing about that is that it's the limited edition one that you could store in your garage, and you didn't need, or you could store on your drive even. You didn't need £1 million to run it.
Yeah.
You can look after it normally. The servicing on it isn't insane because the motor is based on the same little floor pot that anything else was. That the Cooper S was. It was a magic thing, and they were really good to drive. I mean, imagine getting in one today. It would feel a little antiquated, it would feel a little heavy, a little old, but it was a special car. The GP2, as I say, I found it too easy to drive. I found it too easy, so I just realised that one of the bits of art in the background has lots of naked people on it, so I need to not point the camera that way.
Oh well, never mind.
You've seen that one, Ian.
I'm intrigued. Which one?
Taz's ears have all of a sudden pricked up, and then she's like, "Hello."
Well, Taz, if you're near a computer, Google an artwork called Buff by David Mach, M-A-C-H.
Okay.
He's a sculptor. And my mum got me that for Christmas one year, but I got home, and in her living room was this thing, and she went, "Merry Christmas," and it was just a collage of naked people. Very strange.
Oh, I love your mum.
Very strange. She's great. She was 70 last week. Anyway, cars. Yeah, so a GP3, I mean, we know that's going to be a special thing because now it's been bought all in-house, and you've got all of the guys from BMW M who might be on hand to have a little word as well. that's going to be special. 306 horsepower through the front wheels. I mean, the GP1 was 215 horsepower.
So it's gone from 250 in the first one. What was the second one?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me have a look.
So it's generally been an increase in power.
Yeah, there's always an increase in power.
Because the standard Cooper, the Countryman one they brought out recently, that's got the same engine. But that was four-wheel drive, so it's heavier because it's four-wheel drive. Whereas this is.
I drove that at the end of last year. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I went to Belgium in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that road trip, didn't you?
Yeah, so the very sweet people at Mini, because me and, obviously me and Taz got married last year, you were at the wedding.
I was definitely there.
And I had a very sweet message from them saying, because we had the Italian job Minis, didn't we? Which was hilarious fun, and so much fun. And we potted down the hill, me, you and James in a Mini each, with a Italian job Mini music blaring out of it to go. No, it was a brilliant day. What a day. And as a thank you, they were like, oh, we'd like to invite you down to Goodwood. So I went down to Goodwood Revival. I think you were down at Revival as well, weren't you?
I was indeed. I bumped into you. Me and Saskia bumped into you.
We were all there. It was like a post-wedding catch up.
Yeah.
There was lots of people from the wedding at the Revival. So they invited. So we went down and did Revival, which is amazing. You know those days when we could all just meet up and go places.
In the before time.
In the before time.
So I got my power slightly wrong. It's 210 horsepower, not 215. I think. Hang on. GP Max. No. I was right in the first place. I'm second guessing myself because the GP2 has the same power
as a GP1.
Allegedly. I'm just checking this now because it's gonna do my head in if I don't have a look. GP2 review. Auto Express magazine. That's a reliable tome. Except 216 horsepowers. Driving experience is more important to you if you do this. And there's an old review by Matt Watson. He's gone on to do big things. But it's not. It's the thing. The thing with these, it's not just about big power. It's about the feel and the drive of the thing. So this one has a diff in it, for example. So you do get lots of lovely grip. I mean, a review of the Times. I was reading through some this morning. Alex Robbins, friend of the show. It's got a diff in it, so you can sling it round corners and it'll grip. He does say, where is it? With the traction control is far too restrictive, and you wonder why. Because without it, the car feels fabulously grippy. Not as pointy as a Renault Sport Clio of the time, but once it is turned, the diff puts the power down beautifully. And although there's always a slight sense of nose heaviness, the Mini doesn't actually slip into understeer, at least in the drive, as we tested it.
Yeah.
There you are.
So
see, Scruff knows his onions.
Exactly. That's a man of good words. That boy.
It's a man of many and good words. I wonder how he's getting on. I should text him and ask him how fatherhood is treating him.
So that's the GP2 had good reviews. Had the same amount of power as GP1.
Allegedly so. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Because generally power increases, doesn't it? But over. So the third generation has got a lot more power than the second one.
The third generation has a lot of power. It has a lot of power. 306 horsepower is silly. It's silly. But I'm entirely okay with that. I mean, that motor in the Countryman, it was good, man.
I really enjoy it. I mean,
slug of power.
I mean that thing shifted quite nicely, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine it going to all the front two front wheels. That's going to be a fun.
It'll either be amazingly scrabbly or it'll be hilarious fun. Because what's front wheel drive has 300 horsepower at the moment? Civic Type R. And oh lord, someone in the comments help a brother out. What front wheel drive 300 horsepower? Everyone's going Oh well, Focus ST, that's 280 horsepower. Mr. Manual on the GP3, yeah, that is gonna suck.
Oh, is it manual or is it automatic?
On the GP3?
Yeah.
Well, judging by the comments, someone said going to miss the manual.
Oh, okay.
So, Mini GP3. But what we have to remember is, this is an important thing, is the machines know better than we do. It's paddle shifter. The machines know better than we do. This is one of the things that kind of irks me about. So I wrote a thing for Drive Tribe a while ago about how the internet can be awful and how it can also be really great.
Yeah.
And the awfulness is that people will just slam something. It's either rubbish or it's the best thing in the world, and you're wrong for not thinking it's the best thing in the world or not thinking it's the worst thing in the world. And if someone says, "Oh, it's a paddle shift, therefore it's rubbish," it's a paddle shift for a reason. Like a manual gearbox, how many people would legitimately buy it? How many people would? Sorry, I need to plug my phone in. How many people would legitimately actually buy it? What's the fuel economy implications for it? I know it's very boring, but if all of a sudden a 300 horsepower Mini becomes 500 quid a year to tax, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah, and also, kind of in the marketplace of like, it's got to be sold in America, it's got to be sold in, it's not just a European car. Generally, Americans don't really have manual, do they? So you've got to, if you're producing only a certain amount of cars that are manual for a certain market, the price point is going to go up hugely. So you've kind of got to go with what's going to sell globally rather than just for one particular market.
And the machines are faster than the man.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgina Cox has just joined and said, "Auto, hi George, how is your new cat? Please tell us, because he looks amazing." But the machines are faster, so it'll be quicker to 62 than if a person was trying to do it. It's more efficient, so you'll get more miles per gallon, which means you can drive further.
Yeah.
It'll be better for the environment. It promises to be a very raughty, exciting thing. The GP1 and GP2 are very much products of their time. These are the sort of hardcore, let's see what we can do to kind of within the realms of reasonable possibility. Because, you could turn it into a 7,000 horsepower fire-breathing thing, but you just melt the front wheels. Yeah. As a lot of people do when they modify cars like that.
I mean, and at the same time, there's going to be...
Here we go. Here's some interesting facts. Over 70% of three-door hatches in the UK last year were automatic because they're easy.
Yeah.
Because autos are easy. Or someone's saying, I'm not saying it's rubbish. Eagerly waiting for my GP3 regardless of transmission.
There we are.
Someone has said, would you buy a manual V8 coupe, perhaps like an F-Type? I own one. And it's great.
You own an Aston Martin Vantage.
Yes, I do.
And you also own a Morgan three-wheeler. And a Morgan three-wheeler. And if you're looking at a driver's car, you probably won't get any more roarer than a three-wheeler, because that car bites. If you get that wrong, that's a very...
I mean, it is rubbish.
Oh, yes, but
it's the worst car in the world.
It's a terrible car, but it's a beautifully terrible car.
Yeah, it's charming.
It's charmingly
so. So the point that George made, 70% of three-door hatches in the UK last year were auto. If you look at pretty much any manufacturer that offers something sporty and exciting, like Porsche, for example, 911s, vast majority were automatic, because you just want something to get in and drive. It's easy, it's more efficient, it's faster, you don't have to do as much, because the idea that every car that comes out needs to be ideally suited to what a certain subset of people on the internet think, and then everyone else have to work around that, is bad business. Yeah. That's not how businesses work.
Yeah.
If you think about whatever your job is. So, Ian, for example, if you started only producing watercolours of ponies and then tried to sell it at Goodwood, no one would buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, however, if you're doing massive portraits of cars with remote control cars, the people of the Goodwood Festival of Speed would love it. Same principle here.
Yeah.
People want sensible
I think
cars to do what they want them to do. It's why crossovers are so wildly successful.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that it's always going to have the identity of the GP and what the GP it was, and it's a bit like when you look at the generations of Focus RS. You've got the first RS is always going to look that kind of special because it's of that time, and you remember it as a kid. Your memories of that car is of how old you were when it first came out. Rather than what it is now. So
I was really, really, really young when that came out. Yeah, I was so young.
So it's but
ooh, double chin there. But no, yeah. So GP3, I'm super excited to have a go in it because having had a look round it in La La Land, it was a cool thing. It was a very, very cool thing. But GP1, I really like that car. It's not only is it good to look at, it's ace to drive. As I say, if you get in it now, it would be of its era, shall we say. There'll be some things that feel a little antiquated, like the steering wheel, a bit heavy. Some people might not get on with that. The manual gearbox, do you have to put the effort in? I mean, it's not like catering difficult, but it's pleasingly not cheap. Maybe a little longer than some would like, but it's you get in it, you go for a spirited drive, shall we say, and next thing you know, you get out the other end with a big grin on your face, having listened to that really raw supercharger noise. That's the one thing that I really miss about my old Cooper S, is that it's got that supercharger whine. Is
it that kind of raspy noise to it? That kind of like the whine as it I presume as something goes on internally, kind of makes that noise.
Yeah. It's the supercharger doing mechanical supercharger things, which means it ends up going wah like that, and it's mega. And in the GP1, it's just more. And then the exhaust, it pops and bangs and crackles and makes lots of noises and upsets old people in small villages. Not that I have any experience of revving it through a small village or anything like that.
No. I mean, that's what you've heard. You've heard stories.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That can happen. But it's one of those cars that will always be a special thing. It's there will be over the years there are those cars of those certain generations that always be a bit special. So from the noughties.
Off of the noughties, off of the big breakfast and times of those those kind of times. So
and it'll be one of those standout things. Alongside it, the original Focus RS. That's another one. We've got from there the tail end of the E46 M3 special car, first B8 RS4 special car. What else? But while I think, and if anyone wants to comment with stuff they think is special, feel free.
Feel free.
But it'll be those things that when we look back and go, that existed when we're all in our eco bubbles floating from place to place. We'll look back and go, I remember that. That was great. I wish someone would make something like that now. But
remember when we used to drive places? That driving thing we used to do. Yeah.
Do you remember driving? Well, that's how I currently feel. Do you remember driving? Do you remember going outside and seeing the world?
Yeah. At the same time, it's lovely to converse about your memories and association to the GP, because we started this yesterday, like talking to race drivers whilst drawing their cars, and it rather than me just waffling on and trying to sketch away, it's actually nice to hear stories and get some knowledge behind it. So today we're gonna, each time we do a mini, we're gonna have a mini person or associate talk about their experience with the brand. And
clever.
So
you're a smart man, Ian Cook.
Well, some people say, some people say that. Some people just call me a messy artist.
Messy artist.
But no, the guys at Mini have been very, very cool in promoting. So, and what's going to happen is that people can send me a photo of their Mini, and so we'll have GP, then another Mini, GP, another,
Okay.
and then the last one will be a Mini that has been selected from people sending in images of their Mini. So the last Mini will be a selection from the social media today of people going, draw my Mini. So the last one will be a kind of a social media led competition to win their car being drawn.
Clever. I've just had a fun fact in.
Yeah.
From Georgina at Mini.
Yeah.
Fun fact: 444 GP1s were built and sold to the UK. So earlier I was right when I said about 450. I am pleased.
Ah, thank you, Georgina.
But that does explain why they are still so spendy. 16 grand for one. That's a lot of money.
And how old are you? 16 years old, did you say?
2006, so 14.
14.
And can we guess the fastest laps on the Nürburgring? I'm guessing in a GP1. And I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go 12 minutes, I reckon. I don't.
I know 12. You could do that in your three-wheeler. I mean, it would be horrible. But
I reckon 8 minutes then, because I can't imagine it's sub 7. There would.
Jumping from 12
no,
to 8.
it definitely wouldn't be sub 7. I would say for a
10.5.
GP1, I'd go 9:20 if someone was really committed.
I'm going to
Maybe?
go for 10.5.
Taz is going 10.5. So
10.5 minutes to 10. Because sub. I'd say 9 and change, which is still bloody impressive. Go on then, George, tell us how wrong we are. I mean, I do have the internet right next to me. 8 minutes 41
Whoa,
for
that's
GP1.
good.
wow,
Jeez,
that's
a lot. Well, that's not a lot even. Wow. That's committed. How fast is the GP3, George? Actually, what are the times for all of them? Ian, while I'm live on your feed,
yeah.
I have a request.
What's that?
That's a red Lotus Elan.
I'll tell you more about the story again. There was another email. There was another message. Believe it or not. So,
Oh, he didn't.
He did.
Because you sent me one, and then he sent me another one, and has he had a third try?
Yeah, I had a third one. Yeah.
Oh,
Bless. Bless.
Goodness sake,
Yes.
that's not good.
Oh dear. It is what it is.
So what number is this, Ian?
What number artwork?
Yes.
Good question. I sometimes get the numbers wrong. Hang on, bear with. It is.
Counting in a linear fashion is beyond
It's
him.
beyond me. Numbers and letters are not my forte. I have found.
Hence the crayons.
All right. 217 is
217.
217. So we're in terms of the book, the crowdfunder book, continuous hyphen wheels. That's going well. We're a third there with the fundings.
So is the book going to have all of this? It sounds a bit chat showy now. So Ian, tell us, is the book going to have every single car you've done in it?
Yes, it's going to have every car done is going to be in the book. So every artwork is numbered, and so every artwork will be in the book.
Oh, yeah, that's mega.
And it will have a little bit of information about the car, owner, car, and why it was selected to be done, or why that car. So there'll be a bit. So imagine it as a picture book with some very some information. Because I'm quite a simple person when it comes to books. I like images and a bit of information. I don't like to go too geeky about it. So so it's going to be about the pictures, but also with a bit of information. All going to plan that we get the funding. Obviously, we've got to hit that target first, and then. But it's Taz is going to project manage it because she needs a project, so she's gonna. That's Taz's role to kind of see what we need to do to make it all happen.
I hope it happens. I want it to happen because I want that book.
It will happen.
And
It will absolutely happen.
It will happen. See.
There's no way out.
See.
There's no way out.
She's getting very firm now. You see. She gets very firm.
Everyone on the Instagram live right now has to put down for at least 3 copies of
Exactly.
the book.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to buy 60 copies myself. So.
Which somewhat defeats the object of it.
Well, yeah, it does a little bit, but I want to make a book. So
Fair.
So yeah. Anyway, right, I think a slightly bluey grey fast mini.
That looks well good. That does.
Number
the
what?
tiny screen I can see it on.
217. I think we are there, and that's about.
I'm just looking now. Oh yes, it looks very good. Yeah.
217. Right. So.
Do you want to turn your... There we go.
Ta-da!
Look at that. That's mega.